If I can't have you, then no one can. You think distance will save you, don't you? You think slipping away from these palace walls, from my shadow, from my voice, will break the hold I have on you. But you don't understand what you've created inside me. You lit a fire that refuses to die, and now it burns everything in its path, including me. I speak into the darkness because it's the only thing left that doesn't fear me, the only thing that listens as I call out to you again and again. You are not here, but your absence is louder than any presence I've ever known. I walk through these empty halls, and every step feels like a reminder of what I've lost, of what you took with you. The crown weighs differently now. It presses not on my head, but on my chest, crushing what little softness you left behind. They see a prince. I feel a man carved hollow by longing. You broke something in me the moment you walked away, and now the cracks run so deep that even the gods would fear to look inside. Do you hear me where you are? Do you feel the pull of my voice across the distance? Because I feel you in every breath I take, in every second that passes without you. They told me to forget you. They said a ruler cannot be consumed by something so fragile as love. But love was never fragile, not ours. Ours was sharp, dangerous, alive, a blade disguised as a heartbeat. I still feel it, slicing through me with every memory of you. My advisors watch me with nervous eyes now. They sense something shifting, something dangerous. They should, because the darkness you left behind has become my closest companion. And in that darkness, there is no mercy, only truth. The truth is that you belong to me in ways you will never escape. I don't need your presence to feel your pulse. It beats in my veins now. I don't need your voice to know your thoughts. They echo in the corners of my mind where no one else has ever walked. You tied yourself to me the moment you looked at me the way you did, the moment you let me feel what it meant to be seen, not as a prince, but as a man. I can't forget that. I won't. This palace remembers you. The walls remember your footsteps. The air still tastes like the breath you left behind. Everything here aches for you, just as I do. And when I close my eyes, I see you standing where you are not, touching what you never will again. It drives me mad, this emptiness, this hunger, this need. But understand this, it is not weakness. It is the purest form of power, the kind that bends even kings to their knees. You think leaving was an escape? It wasn't. You only changed the battlefield. My love is no longer the gentle thing you once knew. It has sharpened into something unbreakable, something possessive, something that refuses to be denied. I do not speak these words to frighten you. I speak them because they are the only truth left in me. You are mine, not by force, not by command, but by the way your soul fits into mine like it was crafted for it. And so hear me, wherever you hide, I will not release you. Not to time, not to distance, not to fate. The world may try to claim you, and others may try to reach you, but they will fail. Because what I hold completely. And if this world dares to place another hand upon what is mine, then let it burn. If I cannot have you, then no one can. This is not a threat, it is a vow sealed in the deepest part of my being, where your name lives like a heartbeat that will never stop. The palace feels different tonight, as if it knows the storm inside me. The torches flicker when I walk past them, trembling the way your breath once did when you stood too close. I speak into this emptiness because it's the only place left that can hold the weight of my words. You may be far, hidden behind distance and fear, but every corner of this kingdom still carries your shadow. I chase it, I breathe it, I cling to it, because it is the closest thing to you that I have left. And yet, the more I reach, the more the darkness pulls me deeper. Your absence has become a living creature, pacing inside my chest like a beast stripped of its cage. I try to control it, to silence it, but it grows stronger with every heartbeat I give it. People bow when I pass, unaware that the prince they kneel to is unraveling from the inside. They cannot see the madness behind my eyes, the hunger that devours me the moment I whisper your name. They think I am composed, steady, yet you have taken the only parts of me that ever made me whole. Everything else is just a shell wearing a crown. I find myself returning to the balcony where we once stood under a moon that felt too soft for the love we carried. Now the night seems sharper, colder. It cuts through my skin and leaves marks only I can feel. I stare into the darkness, searching for something, anything that might resemble you. A shape, a whisper, a breath carried by the wind. But the world is ruthless. It keeps you hidden, as if mocking the fire burning in me, a fire that refuses to die even when it should. I speak your name as though it is a secret spell capable of bringing you back. But the moment it leaves my lips, it feels too small for what I carry. Because it isn't just your name I want, it's your presence, your pulse, the way your soul once pressed against mine as if we had been carved from the same star. They call me selfish for wanting you this deeply. They don't understand that wanting you isn't a choice, it's a condition, an incurable ache buried in the bones of my existence. Sometimes I wonder if you can sense it, if somewhere in the quiet spaces of your solitude, you feel a tug at your heart that you can't explain. Because that pull is me. It is the echo of everything you left behind. You may believe you walked away clean, untouched, free, but you didn't. You left fragments of yourself lodged in my soul, pieces I can't remove even if I tried. And I don't want to try. Your absence destroys me, but your memory resurrects me, and I would rather be destroyed by you than saved by anyone else. They say a prince should not crave, should not break, should not plead for someone who does not stand beside him. But what do they know of love that darkens the sky? What do they know of longing that turns a man into something both sacred and sinful? I am no longer the man I was when I first touched your hand. I have become sharper, colder, and yet more desperate. My heart beats like a warning drum, each throb reminding me that you exist beyond my reach, and that thought alone is enough to set my blood on fire. And still, I speak to you, still, I reach for you. Still, I claim what the world tells me to release. Because I know what you are to me, my madness, my devotion, my unbroken chain. You can run, you can hide, you can pretend this bond never existed, but it will follow you like a shadow carved into your very breath. This kingdom may call me their prince, but you are the one who shaped the man beneath the crown. And until the last beat of my heart, I will carry you inside me, burning, haunting, consuming, because I would rather choke on the darkness of losing you than breathe a single moment in a world where you do not belong to me. The night folds itself around me like a second skin, heavy and suffocating, pressing against my ribs with the weight of everything I refuse to let go. The palace windows rattle with the wind, but even that sound feels like your name trying to force its way back into this place. I close my eyes and let the darkness settle over me, because it's the only thing that behaves the way you did, gentle, then cruel, then gone. I speak into it because I know my voice will reach you somehow, like a whisper carried on a blade's edge, sharp enough to cut through distance. This silence, it wasn't here before you. It grew after you left, stretching through the halls like a poison I willingly breathe. Every throne room, every corridor, every balcony remembers you more faithfully than any human ever could. When I walk past them, I feel them waiting, as if expecting you to appear beside me again. It's almost laughable how the kingdom I rule obeys me far less than the memory of you. You left, and yet you still command everything inside me. I've tried to bury myself in duty, drown myself in responsibility, but nothing silences this hunger. It sits behind my ribs like a predator, patient and feral. When I think of you, it awakens, sharp claws dragging against my heart, reminding me of the moment you slipped out of my grasp. I never feared war, never feared death, but the thought of someone else touching what once belonged to me, that fear, is the only thing that has ever truly shaken me. It burns hotter than any blade pressed to my skin. Sometimes I imagine you somewhere far from here, thinking you're safe, thinking you're finally free of my shadow. But you're not. Freedom isn't distance. Freedom is the absence of a bond, and ours is carved too deep. Even if you never whisper my name again, its echo sleeps inside your soul. You can deny it, ignore it, run from it, but it will follow you. Because I claimed you in ways that cannot be undone by walking away. You knew that, you felt that, and that's why you're afraid. I stand on the palace balcony, overlooking a kingdom that bows to me, and yet all I can think about is how powerless I am without your presence. Not because I need your approval, not because I crave your affection, no. It's because only you ever saw the man beneath the crown. And now that you're gone, that man is fading. What remains is a darker shape, sharper, colder, made of edges and shadows. And maybe that is what I must become to survive this emptiness. A version of myself that feels nothing except the pull toward you. They say kings should not love like this. They say it turns strength into weakness. But they mistake obsession for softness. There is nothing soft about the way you live in me now. Nothing gentle about the way your memory drags me awake in the dead of night. Nothing fragile about the way I would tear the world apart just to ensure no one else touches what was meant to be mine. This isn't weakness. This is the only power I have left that feels real. The only truth I cannot disguise behind a royal mask. So I keep speaking to you through the silence, through the walls, through the very air that carries your name. Because somewhere, you hear me somewhere, your heart stumbles at the sound of my voice, even if you refuse to admit it. And know this, distance may separate our bodies, but it cannot sever what binds us. You can run from the palace, from the crown, from the life you left behind, but you cannot run from me. The world may try to claim you, but I will not allow it. You were mine long before you realized it, and you will remain mine long after the world forgets our names. The darkness clings to me like a vow I never spoke aloud but still live by. Every torch flickers as I pass, bending its flame as if bowing to the storm brewing inside my chest. I don't try to calm it anymore. I let it rise, let it tear at me, let it carve its marks across my mind. Because every part of this agony is tied to you, and I'd rather suffer with the ghost of you than breathe in a world where you are untouched by my memory. The palace around me feels like a cage, yes, but it is a cage that holds every trace of you, and I will burn it to ash before I let it forget. Your name still lingers on the walls, etched into the silence like a warning the universe refuses to ignore. I walk through these halls and feel as though I am stepping through chapters of a story that was never allowed to end. You left, but your shadow didn't. It clings to the curtains, the staircases, the stone floors, and worst of all, it clings to me. I carry it everywhere, like a second heartbeat that refuses to fade. And even now, even after all this time, I still feel your presence as sharply as the day you turned away. There are moments when I almost forget how to breathe because the air reminds me of you, how it tasted when you stood close, how it shifted when you walked away. I inhale, and the memory of you burns down my throat like fire. I exhale, and the emptiness claws back with teeth made of longing. You became the rhythm of my breath without ever meaning to. And now I exist in this miserable half-life where every breath is a reminder of the one thing I cannot have. And yet I hold on to that pain because it is still yours. I've stood in war rooms, commanded armies, crushed rebellions, and none of it ever shook me the way your absence does. They think I'm cold now, detached, dangerous. They whisper that I'm changing, becoming someone unrecognizable, but they don't know the truth. They don't know that at every cruel decision, every sharp word, every merciless command comes from the hole you left behind. I am not becoming worse, I am becoming hollow. A man carved by loss, filled with nothing but the echo of you. There are nights when I imagine you laughing somewhere, thinking you freed yourself. Nights when I imagine someone else speaking your name, someone else daring to stand where I once stood. And those thoughts, they ignite something inside me I barely contain. Not anger, not jealousy, something deeper, darker, an instinct older than reason. Because you are not something the world is allowed to claim. You are not a distant memory for another to admire. You are not a prize for anyone else to reach. You are bound to me, whether you want it or not. Even now, when I look at the throne, I realize how meaningless it is without you. Power feels empty. Authority feels numb. The kingdom bows, but I feel nothing. The only thing that ever made this life feel alive was the way you looked at me. Not as a prince, not as a ruler, but as a man with a pulse and a soul. No one else has ever seen me like that. No one else ever will. You opened a part of me that cannot be closed again, and now I bleed through it every day you're gone. So yes, I speak to you through the quiet, through the dark, through the distance that tries to stand between us. You can pretend not to hear me, pretend you've broken free, pretend you've left everything behind, but you and I both know the truth. What we were is still alive, still burning, still chained to every breath you take. And I will not let the world take what shaped me, what destroyed me, what completed me. You can run from my arms, but you will never outrun what you are to me and what I am to you. The night settles over the palace like a heavy cloak, suffocating yet familiar, wrapping itself around my thoughts until they pulse with nothing but you. I walk through these corridors as if they were veins in a dying body, my body, each one carrying the same age, the same pull toward a name I can no longer speak without trembling. The silence stretches endlessly before me, and I let it swallow me whole, because in its depths I hear you more clearly than the word itself. It's pathetic, perhaps, but it's also the only thing keeping me alive. This place used to feel large, grand, unshakable. Now it feels impossibly small, as if the walls are closing in each time I remember the warmth of your voice or the way the air shifted when you entered a room. Every hallway traps me in another memory. Every doorway mocks me with the space you once filled. Even the pillars seem to lean toward me, whispering questions I refuse to answer, questions about regret, about longing, about the madness you left behind. I press my hand against the cold stone just to feel something that doesn't hurt. But even that reminds me of how your touch used to burn. The throne room is the worst. I can't look at the seat of power without feeling its emptiness claw at my throat. I sit there, surrounded by gold and silence, and all I can think about is how you once stood before me without fear, how you stripped the title away from me with nothing but a glance. No one else has ever dared to see the man beneath the crown, because no one else mattered enough. And now, without you, the title feels like a chain, heavy, unforgiving, useless. A king without a soul is nothing more than a shadow pretending to breathe. I keep trying to speak to you, though I know you're not here. My words fall into the dark like stones sinking into an ocean. Lost, swallowed, never heard. But even then, I cannot stop. My voice betrays me every time. It reaches for you, hunts for you, refuses to accept the possibility that you might never hear it again. The world thinks I'm silent, cold. They do not know I speak to you constantly in whispers, in breath, in the hollow spaces of my own mind. You've become the language I think in, the pulse I listen for, the shadow I chase even when I know it's gone. You left, but you didn't take everything with you. You left pieces of yourself lodged in places no one else can reach, inside my ribs, behind my heartbeat, carved into the thoughts I can't shut out. I carry those pieces like scars, like relics, like the last remains of a life that once meant something. And when I imagine someone else discovering the softness you hid from the world, something inside me fractures. The thought alone is unbearable. It twists through me like a blade turned slowly, deliberately, because the idea of someone else touching what was shaped for me feels like the beginning of the end. There are moments when I feel myself slipping, moments when the line between desire and destruction thins to nothing. I imagine reaching for you through the distance, dragging you back into the orbit you tried to escape, not out of cruelty, but out of instinct, out of the raw, merciless truth that you were never meant to belong to anyone else. I try to reason with myself, to bury these impulses beneath the weight of my responsibilities. But all that does is blind me to everything except the hollow space you left behind. A space that refuses to close no matter how many crowns I wear, no matter how many borders I command. So I speak again into the darkness, knowing it carries my words far beyond these walls. You may pretend the world has given you freedom, pretend time will sever what binds us, pretend you've healed, but you cannot outrun what lives inside you. You cannot hide from the part of your soul that still answers to mine. Distance is powerless, silence is useless, and the world is insignificant in the face of what we were, what we are, what we will always be. Whether you return willingly or by the pull of fate itself, you will return. Because some bonds are carved not in skin, but in breath, in blood, in destiny, and ours